Good afternoon on Saturday. This is Community CPA's webinar about knowledge in tax accounting and everything else. And we don't talk about anything that is not important in life. Only tax accountings and the businesses are important in our opinion. I'm just kidding. But we're here today at 3 p.m. On today's topic, it is recommended. It is desired by people like you. You wrote to us. You want to know sales tax. You want to know that what do you do with your online business that you're selling things to other states and you're not sure when and how and what need to be done. And you give us a long list of the sales you have. You know exactly where you sold your product, but you don't know what to do with the sales tax side of it. So this is today, and we're going to tackle that. And we did prepare ourselves for you so you can get the knowledge you needed. As I said, our webinars is really unique, and we really prepared you to listen to our webinar instead of watching us if you're driving or if you're cooking, but you still want to learn and want to know, then you just put us on the play on your phone and you can hear us. So today is a sales tax for remote retailers. And let's go to our share screen to start our program. You see, that's our website. And then on our website, you actually will see information related to our webinar. Like right now, we're on the Saturday one. And then on Tuesday, which is July 4th and July 5th, after 4th, and we will talk about workers' compensation. And don't kidding yourself that that's the insurance job and I just gonna pay for it and I don't know what that is. No, you need to know what is workers' compensation, how you can make sure that you are not being overcharged or you are not underpay your premium. Then when something happens, it doesn't cover you, right? So of course, our July 4th, our office is not open. That's a Monday. And like everybody else, we're going crazy to celebrate July 4th. So don't expect us to even talk about work. This will be the last work we talk about for the day. And then we're on holiday. And YouTube channel, here you go. And if you go onto youtube.com and you type in the Community CPA, you'll find all of our videos from the past. These are all, each one of these thumbnails are representing a video we did. If you look, other than the topic that you see right away, right? If you look below, then you will see how many people viewed it and when did we post it. So generally speaking, today's webinar will be on it 24 hours later. Then you can always go back to listen or email our videos to your friend if they have questions related to sales tax on internet sales. All right, so let me go ahead. I'll share my presentation with all of you. And our first slides coming through, I want to announce that we have a job opening at Community CPA. Have you ever heard me talking about this? Never. We have a website you can go in and where you can see the job posting. For example, and I just want to go to the website with you. Right here is our website, right? Here is the career page, and then you can see all the postings we have here on the jobs that we need. But this one right now I'm showing you is actually unique. So we have never ever really thought of we need someone like that, but this is digital marketer, and we think that we need that person. We need that person. That person can, whoever that person is, if you could pitch solutions to increase our YouTube channel viewership and the subscribership, we need you. And or maybe you can edit one of our YouTube video into a bite-sized video clip and to post that on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok Reels. Those are the social media platform that we didn't really get on just because our videos are very content heavy and we don't really, we don't have the manpowers and the time to make it a bite-sized video knowledge to the internet. And we're looking for someone who can do that. with us and show us your proposal, and we are ready to hire. So if you know someone, and especially those young folks and who are just into these video game and doing nothing at home, maybe your daughter and son is really a good candidate for this. So let's see whether we can get some reactions from our webinars like this. Of course, the speaker information, I actually, a couple of you, I did not recognize your name before. I think is our advertising, not our advertising, is our mailing goes out to tell people what we talk about today that attracted you. So you are here. And obviously, I want to tell you who I am. And my name is Ying, and you see a lot of videos on internet on our channel, and I do the talking. And but I do have many brains behind me. Trust me, I'm not the only one thinking this way, and my team is really supporting this, supporting me to speak the knowledge of our firm, right? And I serve on National Taxpayer Advocacy Panel. This is a volunteer panel, folks, to provide with other people, provide advices to IRS. So you got my email, so you can email me. And of course, I want you to know that I'm also an author. I write, and actually writing, English is my second language, but for whatever reason, writing is really very comfortable to me. So I write even in Chinglish, I can still write. And so my book is not complicated. I write in simple English, and this book I have on internet already in Amazon. It's called Appointment with Ying at 8 a.m. to start up a business. And you will soon see another book called Appointment with Ying at 10 a.m. that is to grow your business. So I'm on the journey to finish writing the life of a business, from starting, growing, merger acquisition to retiring. And you want to see how business goes, because business is never forever for a person, because our life is limited and our productivity time is limited. So when you create a business, when that business is lasting more than your life, more than your productivity time, that is when you start looking for answers like merger acquisition, retiring. You know, that's why the word of retiring existed, because we do get to the point of life where we stop doing things, right? Or doing different things. Now, everything we talk about on internet, it doesn't matter what we talked about on internet, and there is a clear stamp on no responsibility disclaimer. And our corporate attorney made sure that we have that on every of our slides, because we just cannot guarantee we don't make mistake. Mistake is for human to make. If humans don't make mistake, then where is that word come from, right? So it's very simple. Make sure you learn, but learn responsibly. Try to learn from reliable sources, right? You don't want to learn taxes in some Hollywood comics. It doesn't work that way. So you just know where you get what knowledge. So I'm pretty sure you're very smart. That's why you're here to see what we are talking about. Now, sales tax on internet sales. If you are selling merchants, you are selling things on internet, you now will need to be aware with the state that enacted laws require you to collect the money from your customer and submit to them. So it's easier said, right? And then, we just had a client, and the whole year of last year, he sold $200 some to a state. So what do you want people to do? If they selling $200 to all 50 some states, are you going to file sales tax on all 50 of the states? The answer is maybe not. Maybe yes. That's why we need to kind of divide that knowledge up for you. So you sort of understand, okay, what am I looking at if I'm in that situation, right? So the sales tax on internet sales, it's just confusing. And we call these people, and not selling in the brick and mortar kind of setting, and they're selling them online, they're remote sellers, right? Not located in that state where your customer are, and you may be delivering your service to another state where you are not in that state, but your customer is in that state, okay? If a remote seller has two things existed, minimum number of sales, or dollar amount of the sales, these are two very common determinator in terms of whether you should be collecting sales tax when you sell to the customer or not. I will cover that because every state is different, but we want you to understand in the big picture that what you're really looking at, okay? And whether you are required to register for sales tax or not, there is a word called Nexus, N-E-X-U-S. I bet you know that word. And I bet you know that word looks. But what does that word mean? Maybe make you just kind of blink your eyes, goes, I kind of know what that means, but I also don't know what that means. And that word is one of those words. I will say that, English is my second language, right? Every time I know an English word, I sort of can figure out the other way to speak that word in Chinese, even if it is very, very long and tedious, but I can still translate that word into another language. Nexus is a word that there is no way I can really translate that for you in any other languages. But in English, Nexus just simply means substantial connection. Okay, so I went ahead to give you some understanding of this word. It is so important because people talk silly. People say sales tax nexus. Oh yes, you qualify for sales tax nexus. What does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, let's just look at this word with me. And if, let's say, imagine a scenario and you are angry wife because your husband cheated you, okay? And you would yell at your husband, says that there is a nexus between you and your mistress. So you're angry. You yell at your husband. There is a nexus between you and your mistress. What a sophisticated English speaker you are, but that is the right sentence to say. So there is a significant connection between you and your mistress. So I think you have affairs, right? And of course, a more civilized and more business-like connection would be the school cafeteria is the nexus of student activity. See, cafeteria has substantial connection to student activity. And today, Facebook seems to be the nexus of communication. Facebook has substantial connection, related to the communication. It is a communication hub. It is substantial connection, right? The amusement park district is the nexus of city's attractions, right? City has amusement park, so that is a city attraction, and the park and city attraction has substantial connection, nexus. So now I want to really talk about nexus because if I'm imagining you or me, and I need that. When I come through a word that really make no sense to me, or I don't even know the Chinese word behind that word, I really need to study. I need to go to Webster. I need to make sentence out of it. I need to use it. I need to make it mine in order that to be a thing for me. So now I want you to, in the sales tax arena, I want you to start thinking about the word nexus, okay? Because that is something you're gonna be, not only use it, and you also are required to understand it. Otherwise, you won't be able to guide your business going forward. All right, now let's look at my next slide. So remote seller nexus, right? There is a 4 very regular, famous, and the ordinary nexus they're talking about. Nexus with sales tax, okay? You actually have a substantial connection with sales tax because you have a click-through nexus. because you are affiliate nexus, because you have economic nexus, because you have a marketplace nexus. Make sense? Makes sense, right? Remote seller should be aware of the click-through nexus, affiliate nexus, economic nexus, and marketplace nexus regulations. This part of regulations. And then which establishing a retailer presence in the state without retailer direct physical presence. What means is if you can identify yourself with click-through nexus to sales tax, with affiliate nexus to sales tax, with economic nexus to sales tax, marketplace nexus to sales tax, you don't need a place in that state to require you to obtain the sales tax permit and also submit sales tax regularly. That is what we mean by nexus. So if you can establish the nexus, if you know you have it, then you don't need to be in that state. You yourself, business owner, your business doesn't need to be in Minnesota. You still have to apply for Minnesota sales tax and pay taxes, pay sales tax. All right, so now let's look at what they are, right? So what is click-through nexus? If a retailer can contracts with an individual or company located in Iowa, let's say in Iowa, and who refers potential customer to the retailer through web link for commissions, other consideration upon sales, that retailer is considered considered to maintain a place of business in Iowa. What does that mean? That means, let's say if you are if you selling merchants in Minnesota and you contracted Ying, and to get you sales in the Iowa, you contracted me. So I am calling my friend, families, I get you client. They went on the link, they went on website, bought your stuff. And you calculated my total sale, gave me 10% of commission. So I got your money and you contract me doing that. Then even though you are a Minnesota company, you have to register in Iowa to get a sales tax permit here in Iowa, and the sales that happen in Iowa because of you contracted me. So you have nexus to Iowa sales tax. Makes sense, right? All right. So of course, the threshold applies and varies by each state. So this is just to say that when you are doing that, when you contracted someone and you know you have nexus to sales tax, then there's next thing to look at, which is whether you meet the state requirement. The state might say that, whoa, if you didn't sell $100,000, don't worry about it. And so you don't have to register to remit sales tax, right? And here, the last bullet point is actually pointing out something here. So let's say if you contracted me to work and to get, but you are not paying me on commission for the sales that made. So a pay-per-click, banner, and other advertising do not qualify if payment is not contingent upon a sales. What it says is that, let's say if you build a website, and then people who click that your advertising, they would pay, they would pay, you actually would get payment for the more people click and you will get more payment, right? So then when you get that sales, because it's not tied to the actual selling of your content, what you're trying to sell, then that would not be subject to sales tax. So that payment is not contingent upon sales, then that is not a nexus for sales tax, right? So click-through nexus requires what? Requires a contract with an individual or a company located in that state. The next one, this is click-through nexus. So the next one is affiliate nexus. This one, to me, covers everything because it says that if a affiliated person of the retailer with a physical presence or employees or agents in the state has sufficient nexus in the state to require the retailer to collect and remit sales tax. So only if it is affiliated person. What does that mean? Affiliated person means that you have a business relationship. It could be buy and sell relationship, and it could be a 1099 NEC, but also could be corporation to corporation. So for example, if you are a retailer in Minnesota, but you have a little warehouse here, you store your things in the warehouse, and then the warehouse here in Iowa was selling those items, then you have access to sales tax because your affiliated person has a physical presence and also employee and also serve as your agent in Iowa. So your Minnesota company, you still have to register for Iowa. And some states has expanded these provisions to include activities by unrelated parties performed on sellers' behalf. So maybe you didn't even contract them, but they're maybe just hop online and they get the deal from you, and then knowing what you need, and they do that is unrelated. Maybe they're paying somebody else, not even paying you for doing that. If it is unrelated, as long as your merchant is coming out of physical presence in Iowa, as long as this physical presence has employees that you work on, and then suddenly it is nexus to sales tax. Okay, so affiliate nexus is another one. The third one, economic nexus. Economic nexus correlates with the level of sales or gross receipt activities within the state. Your Minnesota company, it correlates with how much you sell, how many sales you did in state of Iowa. You don't have to be in Iowa at all. We don't care about where you are. Maybe you don't have anybody, warehouse or person or a contracted person in Iowa, but you're a Minnesota company, but you did $100,000 total sales in the previous or current calendar year in Iowa. What that means is that if your total sales from January to July 1st right now, it is over $100,000, you need to register sales tax permit in Iowa, start remitting sales tax, okay? But what if you are, your $100,000, you didn't meet, this year you didn't meet yet, but last year you were 100,000. Then you should be applying for this year. You see the language is in the previous or current calendar year. It's by calendar year, okay? Or at least 200 separate transactions. What if each one of your transaction is $5? Then you're just gonna have 10,000, but you qualify for that too, because it is an or. It is 100,000 or at least 200 separate transactions in the previous or current calendar year. You see, this is Iowa requirement. So economic nexus is relatively straightforward. Every state has something. For example, in Minnesota, economic nexus appears when you have 100,000 in gross revenue, which is the sales, or makes more than 100 separate sales transaction over the previous 12 months. You see, they didn't talk about calendar year, folks. They're just talking about 12 months rolling. So from July 1st to June 30th right now, if you look at your 12 months, you have more than 100 separate transactions in Minnesota. Even though you're a company in California, too bad you need to register for sales tax. Make sense? All right. So now with those three, and I have a point for you to consider. So consider the click nexus, affiliate nexus, and also the economic nexus, right? And then first of all, those are the things you want to do. You want to check the threshold because those thresholds are very easy to check. Am I right? And you know, I will show you the website where you go to check that, because these standards, every state updates them too. So even if I say it's 100,000 right now for Iowa, God knows they can pass legislature and change that, okay? So it is really a ongoing compliance. So you want to check the threshold, you want to look at your sales footprint, which means that you need to know how much you sold and how many transactions you have done, where your customer are, where you send those to, right? So look at the footprint, research the state requirement. If you see you're having, you know, 100, you already have 200 transactions for Iowa, then look up to Iowa, see what you should do. If you have 100 in Minnesota, look up Minnesota, see what their requirement is. So that is what you're going to do, right? Here, the Streamlined Sales Tax Governing Board, that SSTGB, and this, I have a website for them, and you can actually, you know, the third bullet point where you can research, that's a good place to research, okay? Of course, one important point to tell you is the sales tax is just not sales tax, right? They also include local and option taxes, local taxes. Just make sure that when you register, and you will be aware of what additional taxes that would come into your sales tax percentage, okay? So that is the consideration for the first three nexus we talked about. What about this marketplace nexus? This one is actually very popular. People, you know, if you are selling your merchants on Amazon and you are already on the marketplace, you already established nexus, and Amazon probably helping you. So if an online marketplace operates its business in a state, let's say in Iowa, okay, and it provides e-commerce infrastructure as well as customer service, payment processing service, marketing, the marketplace facilitator is required to register and collect taxes as the retailer rather than individual sellers. Okay, this is like the Amazon. In early days, Amazon, remember, they don't really have this marketplace facilitator registered sales tax. They, you know, individual sellers are doing that. Amazon didn't do that for everybody, but you know, after the litigation between Wayfair, between Wayfair, I forgot which state that was, South Dakota, and then things changed, right? So they changed that. So these market facilitator, they are the one doing the sales tax remittance for you. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. But if you work with a third party, a marketplace that you're not very familiar with, or they are not offering that, then it is your responsibility. Okay. And, you know, let's make sure this marketplace facilitator, they have their own reporting requirement. If you are doing that as a marketplace facilitator and you want to understand the market facilitator's responsibility, because that is different from individual business owners as an individual seller. So the point to consider related to that market nexus facilitators, and you know, like Amazon and Etsy, and they handle the bulk of sales tax collection remitted for you. So those are good. And when working for other third party, you want to know the law. Even if you are working with established third party marketplace, it pays to be familiar with the marketplace facilitator laws in the state where you sell, right? And you will say, well, what do you mean by where I sell? Where you sold for number of transactions, where you sold for the gross amount, you know, those thresholds, those are economic nexus. We just talked about that, right? And you want to ask questions to the facilitator to clarify their policies and the compliance effort, and do not assume they handled it right for you. Do not assume. You want to know, you want to ask, and make sure you verify the accuracy in terms of the taxes they withhold, and they remit that for you, but you want to make sure they calculate it accurately for you, so you are not overpaying it, you are not underpaying it, right? So that is the point to consider when you work with a facilitator. Reporting requirement, and this is something we want you, the small business owners, the small retailers, you don't meet economic nexus, and you don't have physical presence, and you don't meet all of these nexus we talked about, and you don't use Amazon, and you have your little website, you're doing that, right? Then the reporting requirement is that you must notify the buyer that they must pay and report state use tax on their purchase. So when you send out the merchant, you know you don't qualify for all these nexus, but you have a responsibility to tell the person who bought your stuff, you didn't charge them sales tax, they need to pay use tax in their state, right? And you may ask me, well, how are we going to do that? And what do you mean by notify? Well, you can print that on their invoice, right? So they know that you didn't pay sales tax for them, they need to pay use tax on their own. And you, as a small business online retailer, and maybe you're required to send purchasers an annual statement to that buyer, to that purchaser, of all of his and her purchase from you. Okay, so at the end of the year, if your reporting system is legit, is complete, is designed properly, and you actually can print out how much Ying bought from you and for the year, and she should be reporting use tax to Iowa. You know, she purchased from your website from Pennsylvania. Okay, so those are the things that you may consider. As a small online retailer, you don't qualify for any nexus, but you may have that you need to do. If retailer ships item into a state where it does not have nexus, no tax should be charged by the retailer. However, in this case, the buyer has an obligation to pay taxes to the state. So you see, every time when we transmit merchants from the seller to the buyer, as long as the buyer is the end user, right? If it is not end user, they buy it, they retail it, then they're wholesaling. We don't talk about sales tax in wholesaling, right? So as long as the buyer is the end user of the product, they either pay sales tax or they pay use tax. They need to pay taxes, period. Right? So you want to make sure that you understand that piece, not just, oh, I don't need to pay, I don't care who buys it. It is your responsibility to let them know that they need to pay use tax. All right, couple of practical examples, and I put out here. If Iowa retailer ships item to a customer in any other state, they will be required, the retailer will be required to register, collect sales tax if the retailer have nexus in the state into which they're shipping. So what it says that let's say I am a novelty store in Iowa, okay? And someone from Minnesota want to buy my item. And if I have no click nexus, no affiliate nexus, and no economic nexus, and I also don't use market facilitator and no market nexus, I don't have nexus to sales tax, right? And in this case, I do not need to register a sales tax permit with the other state because I don't have nexus. But if I do, if I sold this merchant to this person, it's because I had a salesperson living in Minnesota and he is the one marketed it, and maybe he didn't market this particular buyer, but he is doing his job marketing my retailer business, then I have a nexus in Minnesota. Then I need to have a sales permit remitting sales tax. That is what we're trying to say here. If no sales tax nexus, if you don't, of course, the retailer should just remind the buyer saying that, hey, don't forget to pay use tax, right? So this is a very important understanding. If you have sales tax nexus, you need to apply for permit and pay it. And if you don't have it, and you need to remind the buyer to do it, right? All right, practical number 2. If you're making online sales and you are using a packing warehouse to fulfill the orders, and you may have nexus to the sales tax purposes in the state where the packing warehouse is located. Did you hear that? Okay, so, I know that a lot of small business, when they just get into the fulfillment kind of business. For example, we have a client and who are selling small gadgets, and in the past he was just selling on his website, and so the little gadgets is like $100 per unit, so it's really not a lot of sales. No way it's over the economic nexus threshold, and with that, and so he was working that way for many years. We don't have sales tax issues. We just tell the buyers that submit your sales tax, use tax to the state. But now recently, and his sales is growing, and he was talking about setting up a facility in a fulfillment center in California. And so he wants to know that what happened when I set up the fulfillment center in California, because I'll move everything into California, get that shipped all over the country. So the answer is very simple. Then you are going to apply for sales tax in California, and you are regarded not only a business in California because you have a fulfillment center, you're directing merchants going out of that warehouse, you also are going to pay income tax in California because your sales are generated from California. So this example too is literally happened 2 weeks ago. So we talked to the business owner what exactly it's going to become once we set up a fulfillment center in California. And the result of the study would mean that no, it's not worth it. And it's better to ship everything into the Midwest right here. And we already have Nexus here, and just go from here instead of paying more taxes to go to California, right? So that is a very practical consideration when you are setting up a warehouse, packing your orders and sending it out from there. All right. So my second paragraph here, it says the presence of inventory in state creates nexus not only for sales tax, but also for income tax. You see how they use the word nexus to means significant connection. Significant connection. Okay, it's not a tax word. It is a word to represent the relationship, the responsibility. Well, not very, no, I didn't say that very pretty. Nexus is a fancy word for significant connection. Just remember that. Now, the last example, if you're selling software as a service, sales tax is also usually billed based on the state you're shipping to, the user, right? If there's no shipping, your software don't come in shipment, your software just sitting on your server, people can log, right? If no ship to the state because you are selling something like remote access software, and then you look at to know what sales tax you should collect and pay, you will look at where the first beneficial use of the software occurred. And use that as a location, use that as a nexus to sales tax. So now, a good example would be QuickBooks Online, right? QuickBooks Online, they charge you what, $89 a month for that access. So you go on, you do QuickBooks, and their sales tax they charge you is based on where you are. So if I subscribe to QuickBooks, and they will charge me for the sales tax that my location for the state sales tax plus local tax. So they will charge me 7%. And then I pay the full amount plus 7%. QuickBooks take my 7%, write a check to state of Iowa. Make sense? So that is what we mean by accessed software. That if you what if you invented a software, people are accessing to it, then you need to know, right? You will either use who is the first beneficial use of the software to determine how much you should withhold and pay, or you use the billing address. So the third bullet point is that if you don't know where the first beneficial use was, the next step is to look at the billing address of the payment method to determine where your customer is located for tax purposes. Make sense, right? And remember, when you have sales tax nexus, you actually have nexus to income tax too. And don't kid yourself that, oh yeah, just sales tax, so I'm not going to tell my tax preparer for my year-end tax return, I can just pretend it didn't happen. No, the sales is generated from whichever state, that state you need to pay income tax as well. So with that, I want to say that today, this is our heavy lifting stuff, and we want to make sure that you sort of understand the spirit of Nexus sales tax. So when you are doing online selling or you're confused of where the sales tax should be paid, and go back to this webinar, look at all the Nexus rules and, think in terms of whether you qualified for the other states or not, and then determine how you should file. Of course, this area has a lot of changes all the time. So don't think that this webinar content gonna stand on its feet for next 10 years. No way. And it is a changing subject. So really require you to learn that on your own, but know the important things. So now let me show you where you would get that. Remember I was talking about the streamlined application stuff, and it's actually right here. I have pulled up some of the studies here. See, this is this is Tax Foundation, folks, and you can see the login I did, taxfoundation.org, and right here it tells us January the 1st, 2022, the state sales tax and also their local tax. So when you are looking at Iowa, our sales tax is 6%, but our local tax is another 1%. So most of our taxes is 7%, just really depends on where the customer is living, right? So this is one of the very useful sales tax rate chart. And then I want to show you these ones. This is where, when I go on too many websites and I'm not sure I'm doing it right, I want to show you where is my thing? Oh, this one, Streamlined Sales Tax Governing Board, Inc. is a business, okay? So they give you the streamlined state. So membership. So I clicked Iowa, so I came over here. It tells you that the state contact information, the sales tax rate, and also remote seller information. Remote seller compliance date, January the 1st, 2019. So this is when they last updated the rules. And the gross revenue from sales is 100,000 in previous or current calendar year, okay? And the market facilitator, you have a link here. And additional remote seller information, you have a link here. You see how they have all these information. They also give you the tax holidays, which is really important because if you're buying things in Iowa, paying Iowa sales tax, you have a holiday, that means you don't need to pay. So why don't you just all come to buy things in Iowa from first Friday and the Saturday of August? See, it's held on the first Friday and Saturday of August. So that will be like what, August, that's the sales tax holiday. And August 1st Friday, that's August 5th and the 6th sales tax holiday. All right, and I conclude my today's webinar and appreciate you are here with me. I hope it's helpful and we will talk again on Tuesday. On Tuesday, our subject is workers' comp. If you get audited by workers' comp every year, why not? And everybody does. And you should be understanding what they're looking at. When you submit your information, you could be potentially lower your premium by a lot if you understand it. I will talk to you tomorrow, not tomorrow, on Tuesday, July 5th. Bye-bye.